Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's tutorial is on how to sew a pencil skirt, and as you can see, I already drafted out my pattern. If you haven't seen the video, I'll be leaving the link in my description box. Do well to watch that video before proceeding with the sewing aspect of it. So I went ahead to cut my fabric with this pattern, and then I marked my zipper allowance at that point on my fabric, which is 1.5 inches. It's important you make this line on your fabric because it will serve as a guide to your slits and also fixing your zipper. So you should mark your zipper allowance on your fabric. Now after marking, go ahead and mark 9 inches upwards for your slit, just as you see me doing. Mark 9 inches upwards, and then on the waistline minus 2 inches from there, which is your band length, the length of your band, 2 inches, and then mark 7 inches as the end of your zipper. After marking these 2 points here, go ahead and stitch it down. That is the 7 inches below the waistline and 9 inches above the length of your skirt. You will be joining that place, and also mark your hip line. Mine is 8 inches. Go ahead and mark your darts. Mine is 3.5 inches, so I marked 3.5 inches. Brought my pattern paper and then checked that I marked 6 inches as my dart length, which is 2 inches above the hip line, and then made my dart lines with that. Now go ahead and do the same for the other side. This is the back piece, and you have 2 pieces for the back pattern. So after joining this point to this point, go ahead and sew your darts. So when you are done sewing that, you move over to your front pattern, and on your front pattern, go ahead and mark your hip line. Make sure you mark your hip line on your front pattern to serve as a guide to marking your dart lines. After marking my hip line, I went ahead to insert my dart measurement, which is 3.5 inches. I took 1/2 inch on both sides and then marked 3 inches above the hip line, and then make my dart. So after marking my dart, I went ahead to sew my dart on both sides of my front pattern. I made my darts on this side and also on the other side of my front pattern. Now when I was done sewing, this is what I had. This is what it looks like after sewing my darts, and also the back piece and the front piece. Now let's move over to the slit opening. For your slit opening, go ahead and mark out your zipper allowance at the other side of your back pattern, and then fold in once to meet that line and then fold in again. Fold in once to meet the line and then fold in again. This is a basic slit opening, and this will help you walk freely or be able to climb staircase. So it's important you do this for your skirts. Now go over to the other side, fold in to meet that line as you see me doing, and fold in again, and sew at the end of that fold. When you're done, you sew at the end of the fold you just made. I went ahead to pin this first before taking it to my sewing machine. Now after doing that, go ahead and iron out the other side of the zipper allowance. Now this is what it will look like after sewing. So do well to sew this first. Then when you're done sewing, place the front pattern on the back pattern with the right sides facing the right sides. And make sure that the front piece aligns with the back piece before stitching it down. Make sure that the front piece aligns with the back piece. So do well to arrange your fabric very well before sewing. Now remember that I took 1.5 inches as my sewing allowance, so I'm just going to mark 1.5 inches on the side. Whatever measurement you took as your seam allowance, be it 1.5 inches or 2 inches, go ahead and mark that on the side of your skirt and then sew on that line, just as you see me doing. I marked 1.5 inches. And then made a stitch on that line. I also did the same thing on the other side of my skirt. And then made a stitch down. So after sewing, this is what I have, and I'm just going to turn this over to the front so that you can see this clearly. Now this is the front of my skirt, and you can see how beautiful it looks already. I'm just going to turn it over to the back side, and this is how it looks. Now for the band, whose breadth is 5 inches long and also a length of 30 inches. So I have a 30 inches as the length of this band. So guys, to get the length of your band, open up your skirt this way and then take your tape from the zipper allowance and then place your tape round the waistline of your skirt to get the length of your band. This will help you get the length of your band. So after doing that, I had 29.5 inches as mine, which is still okay because what I have as a length of my band is 30 inches. So now this is what you're going to do. Place the right side of your fabric facing the wrong side of your skirt, just as you see me doing, and then pin at 1/2 inch. After pinning, you take it to your sewing machine and just sew at 1/2 inch all round. So I decided to pin mine first before stitching it down. When you're done with that, this is what you're going to have. Then you go ahead and fold in to cover the rough edge at the front. After folding, make sure you have 2.5 inches left, just like this. Make sure you have 2.5 inches left, and then fold in 1/2 inch inwards and top stitch close to the edge of the fold. Just top stitch close to the end of the fold. I went ahead to pin this down first before taking it to my sewing machine to sew, so you can just do the same. After you're done with the band, go ahead and hem the down part of your skirt. By doing this, you just have to fold in 1/2 inch first and then fold again and top stitch close to the end of the fold, just as you see me doing. You just fold 1/2 inch and then fold in once again. Now this is what I have after sewing my band and also hemming the end of my skirt. My band is exactly 2 inches. So now it's time to fix my zipper. To fix your zipper, turn your skirt to the wrong side, just as you see me doing. Just turn your skirt to the wrong side. Now you're just going to go back to your zipper allowance. I went ahead to cut out the excesses I have on my band. Now this is what you're going to do. You're going to mark out 1.5 inches you allocated for your zipper allowance at the right side, just like this. This will just serve as a guide to how you will sew your zipper. 1.5 inches. Now on the other side, open it up and mark 1.5 inches that you allocated for your zipper allowance. If it's 2 inches, you mark 2 inches, and if it's more, you do the same. Just like this. Now turn your zipper to the wrong side and open it up. When you open it up, you place your zipper at that line and pin it down. You pin it down close to the zipper teeth. Just place it at that line there and pin it down close to the zipper teeth. Pin it all the way down to the end of your zipper, and when you are done, you do the same for the other side. Just repeat the same thing for the other side of your skirt. Now when you're done with that, take it to your sewing machine and then just sew it. Just sew at that line. When you're sewing, please make sure to take out your pins while sewing to avoid breaking the needle of your sewing machine. It is very important to do so. So guys, this is what I have after sewing. And for the excesses you have on your zipper, open your zipper allowance, fold it inwards and fold again and top stitch. This is what you're going to do. Open your zipper allowance, fold it in, and then just top stitch at that point there. Open your zipper allowance, fold it in, Just fold it in neatly like this and then fold in again and top stitch at that point there, and that will be all for your skirts. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.